The design you see here calls for a series of hardwood steppers running through the garden from front gate entrance through to the house. The designer responsible for this design has asked for some help on how you might make that task a little easier. If I pick, say, one of the steppers, can you see there it's made up, that hardwood stepper, of a series of lines, whereas maybe some of the other, that one's made up of a rectangle. So how can we make that a little easier? The first thing you might do is draw a rectangle of appropriate size, and for that I'll call the rectangle command, and I'll use actual coordinates for this, absolute coordinates. So the prompt says specify the first corner point, and I can drag and pop that in. But the way to get that accurate is to use the @ sign. We go in the X direction first. The sleeper or hardwood board is 200 wide, comma 1200 high, because the boards come at 2400 long, so we'll halve them in this design, and so I hit enter. My drawing colour is magenta, so there's the what will become a block that we'll use through this design here. One useful thing to do if you're making a block such as that is to draw a line diagonally through that rectangle and then draw a point at the midpoint of that diagonal line, and I'll exit from there. I've turned the point style to none at the moment, but let's put it down as a plus sign through the point, and you may just be able to see there's the point in the center, and I'll remove the line. And the reason for doing that is if we make a block, we can rotate and move the symbol around. I'll demonstrate. I've used the block here. I've called it hardwood sleeper 1200 by 200, and so I've got a marker point, a point in the center, and I can easily rotate the board just slightly if that is what the design calls for. So we've got great control now by using a block and then just copying the block across. You can, I think, make life even easier by drawing a polyline through the center of that path, and I'll just zoom out a little and come across and demonstrate how you can use the CopyAlongLine tool to let me latch onto the line. I'll copy that. So I'm just copying the polyline that runs through the approximate path, and in the gCADPlus drop-down is a tool called CopyAlongLine. So let's activate it, and that can be used to copy a block along, in this case a curving polyline. It's had some curve fitting applied to it. So I select the block, and the prompt then says select the copy path. So this magenta line will be the start point. We're going to start at the beginning of that line, and the input spacing, and I've just tried this, and 300 millimeters is reasonable, and in goes the complete set of hardwood markers. Now, this is an informal design. You might still want to play a little more to tweak it. The blocks here have been placed by hand to give quite an informal arrangement. But you could fairly easily modify this to, you could pick, say, every fourth or fifth one and then just move up a tiny bit, like so. And then you might want to pick some other hardwoods and then move them down in the other direction. And there we have a pass through there that's not dissimilar to the one that our designer put by hand. But I'd like to think that using the CopyAlongLine tool is a much more efficient way of doing it, and in combination with the block, than just in a fairly long-winded way using the rectangle lines to create the shapes.